What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to talk about 5 or 6 different areas that you might want to consider not moving to if you're making a move here to Utah. We're going to jump into my computer here in just a second, take a look around this map, and we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons to living in each of these different areas. So I want to point out some of the negatives to these different areas for you here today, but I do have to add a disclaimer that, look, if you're making a move here to Utah, these things may or may not affect you. I'm going to talk about some things here today that are just based simply on facts and based on the reality of living here, but it may not actually pertain to you, right? So I'm going to talk about some things that might be a negative for one person, but actually might be a positive for somebody else. So this is a video where you can just take a look at the facts and decide if this is going to be a problem for you or not. You might be looking at one area, and then after what I talk about here today, you might say, that's maybe not the area for me. I want to look over here instead because this one seems to fit my needs a little bit better. So with that said, guys, if you are making a move here to Utah, make sure to get in touch with me. My information's here on the screen. I've had people from all across the world reach out to me and make that move here to Salt Lake City, and I cannot wait to hear from you as well. So my contact information is on the screen. Call, text, or email anytime, and let's have a chat about the type of home and lifestyle that you're looking to have. Now, without further ado, let's jump into my computer here and take a look at the map. Also, I should mention, guys, if this is your first time to the channel, I talk about everything you need to know when it comes to living in Salt Lake City. I talk about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here along the Wasatch Front. And also, if you're a returning subscriber, I apologize. I haven't posted much. I'm getting over this cold, so I apologize if I sound a little sniffly still. Picked up a bad cold and just, put me behind. You know how those things go. So let me get myself out of the way here. Now, number one, I want to talk about Harriman. This is a city that is up and coming. It's growing like crazy, and there's a ton of stuff going on out there. The thing that is, potentially not a great thing about Harriman is that you're going to have insane traffic. Unfortunately, the east and west access here in this part of the valley is not the best, right? You've got these major roads that go east and west. So you've got this one right here. You've got 123rd, and then you have Bangerter. So this is actually a highway, but these ones are going to be 2 or 3 lane roads, depending on where you're at on the road. So that's pretty good access there. But as soon as you go west of that, if you're here in Daybreak or you're here anywhere in Harriman, you've really only got these small city streets to be able to get around. So it's not really conducive to being able to get around very easily, especially if you're leaving during rush hour. The traffic here is going to be insane. They are working on some solutions to this, but as of right now, you're really faced with a situation where you've got this road here, 85, which is Mountain View Corridor, and that gives you pretty good north-south access, but as far as going east and west, you've got these little city streets, and that's about it. If we jump over here to this satellite map and take a look at this, you can see how much growth is going on right here. And it's only going to continue growing up the mountain here. So you've got all this growth over here. You've got all this right here. There's already a number of houses built here, but you're going to have this whole thing that's going to be developed over the coming years. And, the reality is, guys, the traffic is just getting kind of insane. So this Mountain View corridor will take you all the way north. You can see if we just come up here, it does run all the way along, and then it's going to tie into 201, which is right here. So it actually does. And then if we come down, you're going to see that this, if we zoom out just a little bit, let's see if we can see it. Anyway, this road, Mountain View Corridor, is supposed to be continued down and tied here into 145, I believe. So this road is going to be continued on. Who knows when that's going to come, but it's going to give you better access in and out of Harriman. So that's the first thing you have to know about. If you've ever driven in Harriman during rush hour, you'll know that there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people trying to get in and out, and that's something you need to know about if you're moving there. Not a huge deal. Still a great place to live. Nice homes, very new. Everything there was built within like the last 10 or 15 years on average. So still a great area, but just something to know. There's going to be some traffic if you're trying to get in and out of that, and it might be a few years before they take care of that. All right, number 2, let's jump over here and take a look at Tooele County. So this is an area that I get a lot of questions about because you're a little bit further out from the city. You're further away from Salt Lake, and it's a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit older of an area. I want to say kind of small town feel, but I don't know that it's really got that anymore because it's growing so quickly. So you've got 3 major cities here. You've got Stansbury Park right here. You've got Grantsville, and you've got Tooele. Tooele is growing like crazy. It was kind of that small town feel, but now it's growing. There's tons of new communities here in this area. So it's spreading out pretty rapidly. Now, the one thing to know about that is if you're living in Tooele, you can see here, you've really only got this one road right here that goes through Stansbury Park before heading over here and connecting with I-80 to get into Salt Lake City. So the thing you need to know about this is if you live out here in Stansbury or Tooele, but you work in Salt Lake City or Salt Lake County for that matter, you have to know that this is the only road that will take you in there. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, when we get snowstorms, the clouds will come across the lake right here, come a lot across the Great Salt Lake, they pick up a ton of moisture and then they dump it right here on the road as soon as it hits that dry land. So you will get really bad snowstorms, you get wind, and if this road gets shut down, you might be in traffic for 2, 3, 4 hours. You might get stranded there, you know, on a bad day. So that's something you have to know about. There's no, if we jump over here to the map here, this is a mountain range. This is the Ochre Mountain Range, and you'll see that there's no roads that go over. You know, you could take like a ATV or, you know, dirt bike or something over, but that's it. There's no roads that just go straight over. There is talk that eventually they'll probably build a road, you know, through here. Who knows if that's going to happen? They'll build one directly from Tooele over here through, you know, Copperton and down into Daybreak or something. But the problem is you do have the copper mine right here. So I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know if it'll ever happen. It's just kind of been a rumor that that might happen at some point. So if you did work, let's say in Harriman, but you wanted to live in Tooele, you'd have easier access. But right now, if you live here in Tooele, you have to drive all the way around and then come down here just to get to Harriman or over here into Salt Lake City. So that's quite a long drive. You have to know that this road right here in the winter, if it gets shut down, you might get stranded there because that's the only road in or out. There's no getting on and off or taking side streets or anything like that. So something to just kind of note right there. Now, let's change gears a little bit. Let's take a look at Salt Lake City. I want to talk about Salt Lake City because just like, now, what I'm going to say here is going to be something that you just need to know about, right? I'm not saying it's a pro or a con. It's just the reality of what it's like to live here, right? So each city is going to have a nice side and a bad side, right? You know, it's going to have low income and high income. That's just any major city, right? It might be the east side, it might be the west side, north side, south side. It doesn't matter. Each city is going to be a little bit differently, different. But here in Salt Lake, the east side is typically going to be nicer. So the further east you go, the nicer it gets, the better the schools, the nicer the homes, the bigger the homes, and of course the more expensive it gets. So if you're looking in the Salt Lake City area and you want a nice home, you want to go further east or potentially even further north. Let's say you're looking here in the avenues. The further up the avenues you go, if I could show you on a map, this kind of climbs up a hill as you go north here. The further up you go, the nicer it'll get and the more exclusive it will get. Now, when we come over here and take a look at like Rose Park, Fair Park, Poplar Grove, look, I got to be honest, these are not as nice of areas as these other areas. So if that's something you're looking at, you know, if you're looking at rentals or you're looking at purchasing a home, if you see cheap homes in this area, well, it's for a reason, just because it's a little bit lower income and it's not as nice of an area. The schools aren't as good, crime's a little bit higher, and those are something you need to think about. So if you're looking at making a move here to the downtown area, you know, potentially you might want to be in the downtown area directly, you know, here in like the main city square. That could be an option for you. You know, if you like right in the middle of downtown living, that might be the option for you. You are going to have a higher homeless population there, just to be totally honest. But if you want kind of like suburbs, but you still want to be close to the city, then you're going to want to consider this area up here by the University of Utah, potentially over here by Foothill, or even Sugar House, which is kind of this whole area right here. So those are the areas that you need to consider if making a move to the downtown area. Now guys, before we move on to number 4, I just have to insert this here really quick. If you are not a subscriber of the channel, it would mean a world to me if you would go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I talk about everything you need to know about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here along the Wasatch Front, and I would love for you to get notified of those future videos. You can see here from my YouTube analytics that over 88% of you who are watching are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure to be subscribe, become one of those 11%. Let's get that up to 12, 13, 14%. That would mean the world to me. Now let's jump back here over into number 4. So number 4, we're going to come up here to Davis County. So as you come across north of Salt Lake, just about right here, you're going to cross over to Davis County. This whole area is considered Davis County, all the way up here, and it goes up to roughly this area before you cross over into Weber County, which is where Ogden is at. So we're going to talk specifically about Davis County and more so kind of this east side of it. So Layton, Kaysville, right here by the mall, anything here between 89 and I-15. So they are doing a ton of construction on 89, you know, turning that into like a full-on freeway because the traffic here is just insane. You do not want to travel on this road for at least the next year until they finish that construction. It's especially bad right now because of that. So This area here between I-15 and 89, the thing you need to notice is that you've got Hill Air Force Base right here. So it is an active Air Force Base. There's a lot of military who live in this area. And with that comes a lot of training for their fighter jets, right? They've got fighter jets that go out and they do training. Usually it's during the day. Sometimes they do night trainings as well. But you will have the jets flying overhead. And so you'll just be sitting at home and all of a sudden you just hear this, massive fighter jet flying overhead. Usually it's kind of in this range. Sometimes they'll come out here over the Great Salt Lake, fly in these different areas. But for the most part, they're taking off and landing right here in this general vicinity. So if you're living here, you kind of have to get used to that, right? It's not just like a regular airplane flying overhead. This is going to be a fighter jet. It's, loud, and it will last, right? Sometimes they're flying in circles. It might last for, 20, 30 minutes. They kind of space it out, but definitely something to kind of keep, be aware of if you're making a move to that area. Is that something that you're going to have to deal with? So if you want to avoid that, you either want to come a little bit further south here into Kaysville or Fruit Heights or even Farmington, or you want to kind of stay west if possible. Stay west of I-15, and it will be a little bit better. You'll still hear it, you'll still notice it, but it's not going to be as bad. If you're out here, oftentimes if you're in your house, you might kind of like hear a faint sound out there, but you won't notice it. But if you're outside, you'll definitely hear it, and you can see the jet flying across the sky or whatever. So that's something to kind of take note of. Next up, we're going to come back here down. We're going to come back down here to Utah County. So this whole area, just for a refresher, is Salt Lake County. And as you cross over this area right here, which is considered Point of the Mountain, you can see there's kind of two mountain ranges that come across, and there's kind of this valley right here. This is considered Point of the Mountain because the mountain range comes out and sticks out right here. And as you cross down here, you come into Lehigh, American Fork, Pleasant Grove, Linden, down into Orem, Provo. So this is probably the main hub. This is where all the tech scene is at. This is where the tech corridor for Silicon Slopes is at. And we're going to talk here specifically about Provo and Orem. So the thing you have to know here is that you do have two universities here in the area, so you are going to have a heavy college presence. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a college town. There's so many people that live there. There's young professionals, there's older people, there's families, single people. You've got a wide mixture of that, but you will notice that if you're living here around Brigham Young University, you're going to have a large, college presence, or you've got Utah Valley University, which is right here. So you've got Utah Valley University right here just off the freeway. So between these two areas, if you take this, Utah Valley University right here and BYU over here, this whole general vicinity is going to be a lot of college age students. So just kind of keep that in mind. It may be a pro for you, it may be a con, but something to just kind of take note of. With that, you're going to have a very heavy college presence if you're living there in that area. Now, next up, I want to talk a little bit about Saratoga Springs. This is going to be our last one on the list here. I've had a ton of people be interested in Saratoga Springs. And guys, like I said before, if you're thinking about making a move here and maybe these things are pros or cons to you, maybe they just make you take a second thought about what you're, why you're moving here and what you're looking for. These are all things that you just need to take into account before you make that move. And if you do make that move, reach out to me. I love helping people buy homes when they make that relocation here to Utah. I would love to hear from you and your family about the type of home and lifestyle that you're looking for when you make that move. So Saratoga Springs, Lehigh, and Eagle Mountain. This is a very popular area. I've had a ton of people ask about this, and honestly, I'd say probably 40 to 50% of the people I help actually end up making the move to one of these three cities. So very popular. I work there all the time, and there's a couple things that you need to know. When it comes to Saratoga Springs, we're also going to talk about some things that were similar to what we discussed here in Harriman. If you live here in Saratoga Springs, right now, most of the development is happening in this area here. So you've got Talons Cove Golf Club that kind of runs here along the bank of Utah Lake. Let's jump over here to this map. This will show you a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So most of the development you can see, we've got development here. You've got this main road that's coming down here that is currently just a dirt road, but this is where it's going to tie into that other road at some point in the future. So you're going to have, let's see, if we come back up here, you've got Mountain View that comes down, and I believe what they're going to do is they're going to tie it right here into this kind of trail that you can see right here along my mouse. They're going to run it down, tie it into this road here, and then that will come down, keep following it down here. I think it ties in right here somewhere, and it will come across through this field at some point and then tie in right here to this road. I think that's the plan. You know, we'll see. I don't know how far out that road is going to be, but the thing you have to know about Saratoga Springs is that because all the development is happening right here, again, the only major road that you have in and out is this 68, which is Redwood Road. So this is going to be your main road going north or south. If it's shut down, if there's a crash, if there's construction, if there's bad weather, this road could really hinder your travel plans getting in and out of Saratoga Springs. So if you're trying to go to Salt Lake, right, you have to go on this road at least until you get up here into the northern part of Saratoga Springs. If you're trying to go south, well, there's not really much out there, right? If you keep coming down this road, it's literally just like barren land, and then you get down to here to some farmland here on the west side of Utah Lake. So not a whole lot going on out there. If we come back up here to Saratoga Springs, you're gonna have to just be aware that all of this development that's happening, you know, each house that goes in, that's another car that's on the street, maybe even 2 or 3 cars on the road each and every day. So you can see there's a ton of land right here going in just off of Village Parkway. You've got Sage Homes building right here. I've got a couple people building in there at Fox Hollow. You've got tons of houses going in here, and you can see that it's just going to continue coming down the road here. So that's something you need to know about if you're thinking about making a move to Saratoga Springs. You just have to account for that, right? Maybe you want to leave it off hours. Maybe you just want to plan an extra 5 or 10 minutes with your travel time to be able to get in and out, because if you're coming here north, you know, this Redwood Road is extremely busy. Redwood Road actually goes all the way through. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see the 68 comes all the way up, goes all the way through Salt Lake County, and continues on past Salt Lake County into Davis County. So Redwood Road is a very long road, and it's one of the main roads going in and out of Saratoga Springs. So that's something you have to know about living there. Saratoga Springs is probably still one of my favorite cities. If I didn't live here in Sandy, if I was moving here to Utah County, that would be probably the first option I'd pick. I'd either pick Lehigh or Saratoga Springs, just to be totally honest. So I think those have the best of both worlds, but it is something to kind of note there. I personally love living here in Sandy because I'm so close to the mountains. We've got family in the area. It's where I grew up. I've lived all over Salt Lake County over the years, and then ended up back here in Sandy with my family just a couple of years ago. So with all of that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give me a thumbs up here on the video and share it with a family member, maybe your spouse, maybe mom and dad, your brother, whoever it might be. Share it with somebody who might also enjoy watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And last but not least, don't forget to reach out to me if you're making that move here. Call, text, or email anytime. I would love to have a chat with you, and I'd love to see what type of home and lifestyle you're looking for when you make that move here to Utah. Again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.